Right, shalom, shalom. Want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rukak Wadash. Double honors to the elders, great millstone. Honors to Joachim, doing this work in truth and sincerity, presenting your bodies a living sacrifice to bring out this 144% truth to the elect of the nation of Israel. And a sincere shalom to the hopeful 1/3 men, women, and children. I'm going to jump right into this. You know, with everything going on in the Ukraine and, this Russian so-called aggression, a lot of people tend to forget that, the Iranians have a lot to play in World War III, as well as, the Turks as well. So we must not take our eyes off of the full picture and just, look at, one specific nation. You know what I mean? It's good that brothers are doing these videos on Russia and the Ukraine, but you have to remember what the apostle had recently just said. You see, so without further ado, these Houthi, I guess is how you say it, insurgents are insurgents from Yemen. I guess they're a pseudo, not like an official military, I guess you would say, but more so like a ragtag military, I guess is the best way to put it. You see what I'm saying? But the reason I'm bringing this out is because they're Iranian backed, and we know that Iran is Persia. You see what I'm saying? Or the Persian, excuse me. And it seems as if Iran is trying to start a war with the UAE, which is U.S. backed. So you can see that we're in a time in the world where all these nations are coming against each other, man. Aggression is very high on planet Earth, I'll say. You see what I'm saying? And this is all being brought forth by the Yahweh Shai, man. Everybody is playing their fucking role 100% perfect. You see what I'm saying? It's no coincidence the Houthis are attacking the Emiratis, who are U.S. allies. And who's the head ally to Iran? Russia. You see, it's all just a proxy. It's a proxy game, just like you have the Russia-Ukraine scandal going on right now. Who's Ukraine's ally? You could say the United States, but they're technically not even a part of NATO yet. You see? Russia's trying to prevent that, So without further ado, let's just jump right into this.
The question is, will there be war? But in West Asia, the question is, how big will the war be? Last week, Yemen's Houthi rebels crossed a red line.
Matthew 24:6. There shall be wars and rumors of wars.
And they attacked the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Within hours, the UAE struck back. And since then, it's been a cycle of reprisals. Rockets flying back and forth, strategic buildings targeted, and dozens of lives lost. It's a very precarious situation right now. We begin with what happened on Friday. The Saudi-led coalition targeted a prison in northern Yemen. The strike killed around 70 people. We're hearing contrasting reports about it. Some aid agencies say the victims were innocent migrants. The coalition says it was a legitimate target. Either way, the Houthis responded. Their first target was Saudi Arabia. A ballistic missile fell near the kingdom's south. 2 foreign workers were injured, one from Bangladesh and one from the Sudan. The attack was reported late on Sunday. The second target was the UAE. Earlier today, 2 Houthi missiles were intercepted over Abu Dhabi. Neither attack was a success, but the Houthis have sent their message across. They are ready and willing to escalate.
In response to the escalation of the Saudi Arabian, United States, and United Arab Emirates aggression and their crimes against our people, our missiles and air forces carried out a wide...
You see what he just said? In response to the aggression of the United States and the Arab Emirates, because the U.S. has... What does the U.S. do? They think that they're above the Most High. Esau Edom here in the U.S. thinks that he's above the Most High. Oh, you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to sanction you. Oh, you don't want to do this? Well, we'll send troops. You see what I'm saying? And these nations, pursuant to the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 2, well, I mean, there's only one chapter, he's being made small amongst the heathen, and he's become greatly despised. These nations don't want to hear that anymore. You see, even these small, I don't want to say small, but, this small army in Yemen, the Houthis, are ready to fight, man. You see what I'm saying? That was what she was going into. That's what he's going into. They are ready to fight.
Military operation called Yemen's Second Cyclone, targeting Saudi Arabian and Emirates areas. The Yemeni military forces confirm we are ready to expand the operation during the next phase and confront escalation with escalation.
We are ready to confront escalation with escalation. That's straight out the scripts, man.
So here's how things stack up. The Houthis are all in and they're ready for war. Saudi Arabia wants to fight till the end. The question is, what will the UAE do? Do they dive back into the war or do they de-escalate? If they decide to fight, they will need to prepare more weapons, more fighter jets, and most importantly, more casualties. Until now, the UAE was called stable and peaceful. They got tourists, they got billions in foreign investments. That could change if the Houthis begin attacking regularly. The other option is to de-escalate. Does it mean losing face? Yes, it does. But the UAE will be able to protect its peace and prosperity. So it's going to be a tough choice for them, and some outside factors could shape their decision. First, Saudi Arabia's interest in the war.
Remember now, pursuant to the book of Proverbs, the heart of the king is in the hand of the Most High, and he turn it whatsoever way he will, roughly paraphrasing. So, they, even if the smart thing to do is maybe de-escalate, hey, let's talk, back off, we'll figure something out, we'll come to an agreement. The Most High is in control of the hearts of man, so to speak. So he's gonna keep raising these tensions to a point beyond anything, a point beyond people being able to stop it, man. Because look, I was in the military. You got to ask yourself when you look at these things, what the fuck are these people going to war over? What are these people dying over for real? Like, look at the Ukraine situation and how many people have already died in Ukraine. You see what I'm saying? Look at what's going on with these Houthis in the UAE. You see what I'm saying? What are they really fighting over? That's literally sheer aggression that's coming out of nowhere, man. No Russian dude, snuck into Russia and, raped the prime minister's daughter or something like that. And same in the UAE versus the Yemenis. Nobody got fucking, that we know, got, I'm gonna sneak in here and take your wife or da-da-da-da-da or anything like that. You see, so what are these nations really warring over? That's how you know that the heart of men is in the hand of the Most High, man.
Many experts say the war in Yemen is unwinnable, that Riyadh is fighting to a stalemate. But if the UAE returns to the battlefield, that could change. So Saudi Arabia's hopes are clear. They want the UAE to escalate. Factor number 2 is global support. You see, nobody wants to fight a toxic war, and that's what Yemen has become. It's a toxic war. Allegations of war crimes, millions of children pushed into starvation. The United Nations called it the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Nobody would voluntarily drive back into this conflict unless there is global support. On Sunday, the Arab League held an emergency meeting. All members agreed on one demand: the Houthis must be designated as a terror group. The League's president asked the UN Security Council to act.
And why is that important? Because the Houthis are backed by the Iranian, which is Persia.
Immediately.
The state of Kuwait renews its call to the Security Council to redouble its efforts to pressure the Houthi militia to respond to the calls for a ceasefire and positive interaction with the efforts of the United Nations and its envoy to Yemen.
So So the Arab allies are in full solidarity. What about the Western partners? Will they back the UAE? The previous US administration was clear-eyed on this. Before leaving office, President Donald Trump designated the Houthis as a foreign terror group. Joe Biden reversed this decision. He also scaled back American support for the war in Yemen. But now he's having second thoughts. Biden says he may put the Houthis back on the terror list. And if that happens, if America goes back to supporting the war, it could change the tide in Yemen. But it would also mean more violence and more casualties. And that's why many aid groups are discouraging Joe Biden. Here's what they say. If the Houthis are designated, it would shut the humanitarian aid tab. It would mean sanctions, blockades, basically more trouble for the people of Yemen. But is that a legitimate excuse? Rulers or not, terrorists are terrorists. If the Houthis are exempted.
And what that is that showing the U.S. staging more proxy wars. And proxy wars are where the superpowers use lesser-sized nation-states to get into conflict with each other, so the superpowers aren't fighting, so the superpowers' economies aren't necessarily affected on a massive scale. However, they get little military and strategic strongholds, so to speak, in their favor, you see? And this is why you kind of see, well, Trump supported it, Sleepy Joe didn't. You see what I'm saying? So, and that also goes to show the double-mindedness of America. And this is going to be one of the factors that plays into World War III and the Ukraine situation. You know, if you look at it, it seems like the U.S. is going to do something in Ukraine and going to fail the Ukrainians, and it's going to show the NATO nations that the U.S. can't be trusted, and that it's only really looking out for its own ass. And then once the trust is gone, they're all going to want to party with Russia, man. You see?
It may set the wrong precedent for other terror groups. So Joe Biden has a tough decision to make, and very less time to make that decision, because the Houthis are not waiting around.
And you see shit's heating up. Joe Biden's sitting there and he's got generals all day, Ukraine, 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 Russia, 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 and he still has to think about this. This is Obadiah coming to life, man. Esau has way too much going on right now. And any kingdom where there's way too much going on like this, it's just a matter of time. And it collapses just like that.
They've attacked Abu Dhabi twice in 1 week. This is brazen and unprecedented, also confusing. And I'll tell you why it's confusing. The major Gulf states are pursuing a thaw with Iran. We've been reporting on it. They're talking to Iran. But the Houthis are controlled by the same Iran. So the timing and motive of these attacks are confusing. Do the Houthis have Tehran's blessings? Is this a ploy to put pressure amid the nuclear deal talks in Vienna? Or have the Iranians lost control of the Houthis? All three scenarios are scary for the Gulf states. Either Iran is egging on its proxy, or the Houthis have gone rogue. Bad news either way. Like I said at the start, this is not a question of war. It's a question of how big the war will be. And that depends on political choices that will be made in Abu Dhabi and Washington, D.C. WION is now...
You see? So all these small decisions and key things that are happening are going to boil over into very big things. And the Apostle Tahar named 2022 the year of the turn up. So all these nations are going to turn up, man. All these prophecies are going to turn up. The indignation of the Heavenly Father is going to turn up. You know, everything that is happening and is going to happen is going to turn up. You see what I'm saying? Regardless of if, what's that saying in the world? Cooler heads prevail. Well, the Most High is not dealing with that anymore. This year is called the year of the turn up. And so these nations, they're going to look past all the diplomatic solutions, all the, the pen is mightier than the sword solutions. And they're literally just going to have all-out warfare. And, speaking from somebody who's actually been in the military, been a grunt, been a boots-on-the-ground soldier, you go through all this war fighting, and then you look up and look back, and you're like, what the fuck why was I fighting these people, man? What was it even about? You see what I'm saying? And you can see the same things happening now. You know, we're getting ready to see World War III pop off because Russia wants control of the Ukraine, and and their allies are willing to help them. Like, are you serious? You see what I'm saying? And this is going to cause Esau to lose his power, man. Along with, you know, the forced MOTB. You know, this is all going to be the reasons Esau lost his power, and he's going to be a laughingstock, man. You know, but without further ado, this is Matthew 24 and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. So don't be troubled, you know. The news is going to inundate you with Russia this, Ukraine that, Russia this, Ukraine that. This is happening in the Middle East. This is happening. But hey, man, fuck that. The scriptures say what? Be ye not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. Because if you're in this truth, man, what do we want? We want the fucking kingdom. So, man, fuck all these nations, man. Fuck all these people, bro. All we need to be hoping and praying for is Yahweh shall to return, you know, and that we be of that number, you know, and that he seal his elect, man. You know, so fuck everything else, man. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, which you're seeing with all these empty store shelves, and pestilences. Everybody's trying to get you jabbed up, and earthquakes. The beginning of the year, you saw it. You see what I'm saying? In diverse places, all these things are the beginning of sorrows. So we are in the stages of the beginning of sorrows. You know, so buckle your fucking shin strap tight, man. Put that mouthpiece in, you know, because we about to get rocked, man. You see? And with that, I hope this was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders, a great millstone. Honors to you, Akim, out there doing this work of truth and sincerity. And a sincere shalom to the hopeful 1/3 shalom.